What's up, YouTube? It's your girl DeeDee. Welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all so much for tuning in once again. So I'm back with another video for you guys. Now, in this particular clip, this comes from the podcast 8 at the Table. This woman is explaining why she believes men are more loyal than women. So we gonna get into the video. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know why in the comments below. Before we hop into it, y'all, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It is free to subscribe. Share and like the video. Turn on your notification bell to be notified when I upload new content. Hit the hype button so that you can hype up the video, you guys. But let's go ahead and get into the video. Here we go.
Men are actually more loyal than women are. We exhibit this in our purchasing behavior.
Ew.
A woman will purchase, even if the hair product that she bought worked beautifully for her, she can't help it but to try another beauty product. If a man finds a body soap that works for him, he is going to have that body for the next 20 years. Yeah. Very loyal, very consistent. It's not that men don't have the capacity to do so. Of course, there's conditioning and social, inferences and learnings that we need. But the point is that it's possible. It is there. We just don't recognize it. So because men are stoic and because men say things like we want respect, we believe, first off, women don't even know what that means tangibly. What respect, what does that look like?
Oh, child, listen. Listen, she already speaking the truth. I already agree with what she's saying because it's true. It is absolutely true. We all know it. We know men will find something that they like. This is why we know what to get them. They are, to me, I say they're simple. I got pushback from that from a few, but I think men are much more simpler than women. A man, he knows what he wants, and he sticks with it. You could get, you know what to get them because you know what they like. They don't need to try a whole bunch of, for the most part. Now there's some out there, child, they might be a little questionable, but for we talking about in the majority, not the minority. The majority of men are pretty simple. Like you know what they like, that's what they like, and they don't really deviate from that too much. You know what I mean? They like a certain, she's right. They like a certain cologne or they like that. We are the ones who try to get them to try all kind of other things because we do that. We try, I got 1,000 perfumes. Why? Because I keep buying them. I want to try different ones. I want to, there's some that I like to now. There's so many. I don't know which ones to choose from. That's just our nature and how we move. Men, they don't need all of that. They don't need a lot. They like what they like and they stick to it. We got to try, but it definitely plays a part in how women think and how they move and why a lot of women like to date multiple guys. Why? Because you want to have a lot of options to choose from and you still end up choosing wrong. That's the real gag. But yeah, I think it definitely plays a part because the way you move and the things that you do can give a kind of idea or a reference to how you are, because usually it's a certain pattern that you have, and that pattern really does not deviate away from what it typically is. So you can tell a lot about a person in their shopping habits, and I'm glad she pointed that out because I think she's on to something here. I definitely see what she's talking about, and I definitely agree that could be the way some men are, because once again, everybody is not the same, but there is an overall consensus of how people act and patterns amongst a group of people, and including men and women as well. So let's continue.
And second of all, men actually crave emotional intimacy and connection.
They do.
But public facing will say respect. But when you really begin to break down respect, there's an emotional tension, connection to that, right? There's this, he disrespected me. Your feelings are hurt. You feel hurt. But we don't want to say that, so we'll say respect. So it becomes nuanced for a woman. You're not going to get respect from her because she doesn't understand that there's an emotional connection and intimacy. But if you speak in her language and say emotional intimacy and connection, you will feel respected. You understand?
Hey,
I just want to say, Rome sold this whole video.
He's like,
and that's my homie. I knew Cassandra forever.
his faces were like,
That's my homegirl. I ain't gonna hold you.
Nothing like a
Like her
woman
side.
that understands a man and is on a man's side and wants to better a man.
don't twerk on the camera,
I do
Jada.
believe that a lot of times men have to understand their true responsibility of leadership, right? And a lot of times you get into a situation with a woman who's had bad leaders her entire life, right? And at the core, she's still a good woman, right? But it's up to you to know whether you are willing to put in the work, right? And I'm not going to say to show her what's wrong with her, right? But to basically lead her to the point where she comes to realize that she's contributing to an environment that isn't conducive to what her goals are.
Right. And I think that's a good point, because that is that's a lot of what we see. And I spoke of this before, how you have individuals out here doing things that are not conducive to their end game, for what they ultimately want in life. They don't realize, and I say this all the time, you don't realize that you're contributing to the downfall of the very same things that you want to accomplish. And, once again, this speaks to a lot of educated women who want these careers, and you want to be successful and financially stable. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But if that was the only thing that you wanted, it would be okay. But a lot of women aren't honest about the fact that they want their careers and they want families too. And so when you go about it the wrong way, you are directly contributing to alienating yourself from everything that you want. But if you knew that there was a better way to go about it, and if you were receptive to it, to go about it a different way, then you could have everything that you want. But a lot of people are stubborn, and they've been conditioned to believe that there's only one way to do it. And if you try any other way, you're neglecting yourself, or you're sacrificing your goals and your objectives. And this is how a lot of women end up in the predicaments that they're in. But they don't want to admit or accept that they have contributed to the way their life panned out. And so this is why I say it's important to know what it is that you want, what it takes to get there, and follow that path. And you'll find that you'll end up in a better position of having the things that you really want, versus having part of what you want and neglecting the other part. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and this is why I say I believe that you can have everything that you want, just not all at the same time. And if you prioritize the things in the right way, you definitely could have it. But once again, this is not something that's promoted or sold to women, because it's not something that, the higher ups really want you to do, because they don't really want, it's particularly Black women, to create families with Black men and build the family dynamic. They would rather you be single, independent women fending for yourself, and because they know that's an advantage to them, not to you. They can tax you individuals. You can tax you as an individual as opposed to a family, and there's other things that contribute to that as well. But I think a lot of women miss that because they're so conditioned to believe a certain way and think that men are trying to hold them back. And when in actuality, they're the ones who are holding themselves back. But they've created a scenario to make you think that it's better the way you're doing it, but it actually is not. Especially if you want more than just a career. You get what I'm saying? If that's all you want, that's cool. But if you want family, a family dynamic, structure, all this stuff, in the end, you have to go about it differently. You can't go about it the way that they've conditioned you to go about it. Let's continue.
I think a lot of times, disrespectful women don't even realize they're being disrespectful. They're running on the inertia and the momentum of how they've lived their life. Once again, what men in their life have allowed, right? And I'd love to correct this thing here too, because a lot of times people speak to, does that woman have a father in her life? Did she have a father? And I don't think that that's the thing, because the question is, okay, but how did she watch her mother treat her father?
Ooh. That's a word, because that's true. And also, what was the father teaching her? Because you could have the two parents in a household, but if they're teaching you something totally differently, then you get that outcome. But also, he's right. If you are in a household where the mother is dominating the father and running that household, then that's what you're going to become accustomed to, if that's something that you agree with, because there are a lot of young people who see that and they don't like it and they push back against it. Let's continue.
And also, how was she received by her father?
Or vice versa.
I think it's more than just the presence of a dad, right? Because truth be told, there are women who may have adored their fathers, right? But their mother
was their example of how to treat the father.
expected, right? So there's this inner conflict within them where they love you, but they don't know how to treat you. They don't know how to value you because they never watched a woman value a man to really.
That's so true, Mo. That's so true.
That's a good example because.
Could you imagine that somebody loves you, but they don't know how to treat you?
Absolutely.
That is so true.
That's,
Which brings me
I'm
to
over
the
here like,
next point.
and it happens. And once again, and this is where, as a man, you got to put your big boy pants on if you truly love that person.
That's very true.
Right? And this is what I mean by the balance, right? The balance of giving that person validation, giving them love, but also knowing when to put your foot in their ass.
Yeah, and listen, I agree with that. I think that's where you have to. This is why I say you set the stage or the standard for how people treat you. You set that up. Because if you allow somebody to treat you in their own kind of way, and that's just how they're treating you, and you don't put your foot down, or you don't stand your ground, or you don't say anything, then they're going to continue to do that. Because a lot of times that's a part of the environment that they've been accustomed to. Sometimes that's the part of the environment that they're used to, and they don't see any problem with it. Sometimes they don't even see anything wrong with it. And if you just continue to allow them to do that, they're going to keep going on like it's no big deal. But deep down, you see a problem with it because you see the disrespect in it when they don't. So if you keep allowing that to happen, you have trained that person how to treat you because they don't know any other way. They think that what they're doing is okay while you're sitting here having a hard time with it. So you have to stand your ground. You could love somebody wholeheartedly, but there is some truth to the fact that you could love them but still don't know how to treat them. And that could be a conditioning of how you were raised, what you saw growing up, what you were taught, or just you don't know any better. Or you could know better, but you just don't give a damn. But you can only allow them to do what they're doing to you because you let them do it. So you have to let a person know, hold on, wait a minute, you can't talk to me like that. Or you can't do XYZ to me. And I'm not going to deal with that if you continue to do it. You can't be afraid to lose somebody over your standards. You cannot. Because once again, a person will take advantage of that and they'll continue to do it. And it's going to cause you to be miserable. You're going to have a hard time with that. Why? They're running on easy mode because they could care less. It's not bothering them. They don't care about your feelings. They don't care about what they're doing. They're doing what they do. And if you let them, they're going to keep on doing it to the end. So I completely agree that, yes, you can love somebody and really care about them, but you don't really know how to treat them. And if you keep allowing that, then that's just what they're going to do. So the way to fix it is let them know. And if they really care about you, then they're going to consider what you're saying and they're going to try to change that behavior. But if they don't give a damn, they're not going to care what you're going to say. And that's the sign for you to move on. So yeah, I agree with that. And I just think that is something that people, men need to really hear. I think this is for the men because a lot of times men just accept the behavior of these ratchet women and you think that's that okay. And then some men kind of like a little bit of that drama. They like a woman to kind of cuss them out and do this, but you got to understand, you may like parts of it, but when it gets to the point where it's super disrespectful and she comes at you super hard, you're not going to like that. That's going to make you feel funny. That's going to emasculate you. And you're not going to like that feeling. And if that's something that you don't like, don't think it's all cute and dandy. And then when it gets real rough and she come at you hard and crazy, now you feeling stupid. You only have yourself to blame because you bought into that attitude. You accepted that. Instead of setting boundaries and standards early on to let her know, no, I don't tolerate this. No, if this is how you come in, ma'am, you can keep it moving. You can go that way with that because I'm not going to tolerate disrespect. I'm not going to tolerate this type of foolishness. This is not what I'm about. And we could be together and we could love on each other, but I'm not going to let you just treat me no any kind of way. That's my thoughts on this video. Listen, y'all, let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Comment, like, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new content. Chime in. I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Hype up the video. Y'all let me know what you think, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.